lost Shelley a year ago. These days, it's just me and the kid.
Looks great.
I'll just scrape off the black part. That part's pretty good.
No, give him back.
I don't want to hurt him.
Why didn't you do anything?
Sometimes it's better to do nothing.
The conversation around the Toxic Avenger has grown again as audiences revisit how a cult classic underground hero can evolve into a fresh, high-energy spectacle for modern viewers. The project has been discussed for years, and every time new glimpses or production notes emerge, excitement increases because this character is one of the strangest and boldest icons to come out of the gritty, low-budget era of independent genre filmmaking. The original idea of an ordinary man transformed into a deformed but justice-driven mutant has always carried a mix of violent satire, slapstick absurdity, and unexpected heart. For fans of the earlier era, the return of this chaotic world brings a nostalgic wave, and for new audiences, it introduces a different flavor of superhero storytelling that stands completely apart from today's polished cinematic universes. The latest wave of updates emphasizes exactly that contrast, showing that even with new creative forces involved, the essence of the story remains a blend of grotesque humor, bizarre action, and a surprising amount of emotional sincerity. Much of the renewed interest comes from how the project preserves the spirit of unapologetic weirdness, but pushes it through a more ambitious production lens. Early impressions from those who have seen behind the scenes elements suggest that the balance of practical effects and stylized exaggeration has been deliberately maintained rather than sanitized. This is critical because the character's identity depends on the fusion of gruesome transformation and sympathetic motivation. The new version continues to depict a downtrodden worker whose life collapses after corporate cruelty, only to be followed by an accidental exposure to hazardous waste that reshapes him into a monstrous figure with unexpected strength and an equally unexpected moral compass. Even without delving into the familiar plot points directly, you can sense the deliberate respect for the original tone. Instead of trying to reinvent the formula into a conventional superhero narrative, the creative team seems intent on celebrating the cult-style absurdity that made the property legendary. As updates circulated, one of the recurring points of conversation has been the overall style of humor. The classic approach thrived on exaggerated violence, paired with comically over-the-top villains and a hero who was both terrifying and strangely wholesome. In the more recent interpretations, there's a clear attempt to modernize comedic timing, keeping the anarchic spirit but delivering it with sharper pacing and more dynamic staging. Reports suggest that the gags lean into self-awareness without breaking the tone, giving longtime fans the outrageous nonsense they expect while offering newcomers a more polished and intentionally crafted comedic rhythm. This evolution mirrors changes in genre sensibilities over time. Audiences now look for both chaos and coherence. The creative direction appears to recognize this balance, avoiding the trap of becoming a parody of the original, while fully embracing why people fell in love with the franchise in the first place. Another aspect drawing attention is the treatment of physical transformation. The Toxic Avenger has always been defined by his distinctive appearance, and the new production continues that tradition with updated makeup and creature design. Instead of relying heavily on digital alteration, the emphasis is on practical textures, grotesque details, asymmetrical features, and the tangible feel of a mutated body that looks both comedic and unsettling. This commitment to tactile effects is being interpreted as a tribute to the origins of the franchise, which made a name for itself by embracing outrageous prosthetics and rubbery, handcrafted visuals that were intentionally imperfect. Even though modern tools are available, the choice to maintain a somewhat handmade aesthetic suggests a desire to keep the character grounded in his roots, reminding viewers that the heart of the story is not sleek perfection, but messy, chaotic transformation born out of injustice. As enthusiasm builds, the discussions often shift toward how the new version expands its world. The classic story relied heavily on small-town corruption, ruthless thugs, and exaggerated caricatures of authority figures. Recent insights indicate that this dynamic remains, but there is an expanded look at corporate greed and environmental negligence, pushing the social satire in a direction that feels relevant without becoming preachy. The Toxic Avenger has always functioned as a bizarre mirror of society's worst impulses, and those themes naturally carry even more impact in today's climate. The creative team seems aware of this opportunity, weaving humor and horror around the idea that a regular individual can be crushed by systems far bigger than themselves, only to rise mutated, furious, and oddly empathetic against the very forces that shaped his suffering. Updates also highlight the strong personality-driven performances that define the new take. Although the dialogue and general interactions remain comedic and heightened, there is an undercurrent of emotional weight. The main character's struggle is not only physical, but deeply personal, exploring themes of self-worth, disfigurement, and the unexpected responsibility of becoming a symbol of justice. What stands out is that the performances reportedly do not shy away from the character's insecurities. Instead, they ground the absurdity by reinforcing the humanity beneath the monstrous form. This combination of vulnerability and destructive power is what gives the character lasting appeal, and early impressions indicate that this emotional foundation remains a top priority. The action sequences are another major topic of conversation. They seem to retain the chaotic choreography and comedic brutality associated with the original work, but with modern production values that enhance clarity, energy, and impact. The fights reportedly make use of exaggerated props, environmental gags, and quick bursts of stylized violence that stay true to the spirit of the franchise. Instead of resorting to hyper-realistic combat, the new version embraces cartoonish physicality, where bodies fly through windows, objects break in ridiculous ways, and every confrontation feels like a collision between absurdity and aggression. This aesthetic approach strengthens the connection between past and present, keeping the wild personality of the series intact. When discussing updates, one of the most exciting aspects for fans is how the new production navigates tone. The Toxic Avenger has always been an odd blend of horror, comedy, and offbeat heroism. Modern genre filmmaking often requires a more consistent tonal strategy, but this project appears to lean confidently into its chaotic hybrid identity. The humor is bizarre, the violence is exaggerated, and the emotional moments are surprisingly earnest. This interplay has always been the core of the franchise's charm, and preserving it ensures that the new version does not lose its rebellious heart. Observers have noted that the tonal balance feels purposeful, maintaining the unique identity that separates the Toxic Avenger from mainstream hero stories. Through the stream of discussions and updates, another point that repeatedly emerges is the way supporting characters contribute to the world. While remaining distinct and quirky, they serve as foils that emphasize how far the protagonist's transformation disrupts his surroundings. Friends, enemies, and everyday bystanders react to him with a mix of shock, fear, and admiration, generating comedic friction and dramatic tension throughout his journey. This layered character ecosystem is key to making the world feel alive, rather than merely a backdrop. By enriching these relationships, the new take reportedly deepens the emotional impact and heightens the absurdity in equal measure. The production's overall energy has been described as unrestrained but intentional. Instead of smoothing the edges for broader appeal, the creative team appears to embrace the roughness, exaggeration, and audacity that fans expect. This philosophy extends from humor to action to thematic undertones. While the style may feel chaotic, the construction seems carefully engineered to ensure that the madness serves the story rather than overwhelming it. The result, based on ongoing conversation, is a project that honors its lineage without trapping itself in nostalgia. It grows, evolves, and experiments while still feeling unmistakably tied to its cult origins. As the updates continue to circulate, anticipation keeps rising because the project occupies a rare position in the landscape of contemporary genre films. It is neither a parody of superhero cinema nor a traditional entry in the genre. Instead, it stands outside the mainstream, carrying the spirit of rebellious creativity, practical gore, irreverent comedy, and character-driven heart. For fans of unconventional filmmaking, this project represents an opportunity to see a beloved figure reborn with greater visibility, but without losing the underground attitude that defined him. For new audiences, it offers a gateway into a franchise that has always embraced its own weirdness with pride. Much of what people are discussing centers on how the project may influence future reimaginings of cult properties. If it succeeds in maintaining the balance between reverence and reinvention, it could demonstrate that there is room for bold, risky genre-defying adaptations in a media landscape often governed by formula. The Toxic Avenger has always been an outlier, a strange, messy, and unforgettable creation that earned its legacy not through mainstream acceptance, but through dedicated fans who appreciated its fearless approach. The new version appears poised to honor that history while elevating its production values, expanding its thematic reach, and reasserting its relevance to a new generation. As the last wave of discussions wrap up, the sentiment is overwhelmingly optimistic. Fans are eager to see how the creative team's vision materializes, how the updated aesthetics blend with traditional roots, and how the story resonates with modern viewers who might be encountering this character for the first time. The excitement is not just about nostalgia, it is about witnessing a piece of cinematic mischief return with renewed ambition. The Toxic Avenger is a hero unlike any other, a grotesque figure who stands for justice, chaos, and self-acceptance. Every update, every bit of news, and every piece of conversation reinforces the idea that his return is not just a revival, but a celebration of everything that makes alternative cinema powerful, strange, and unforgettable.